And as we transition to our next theme, I want to invite and introduce you to Christi Bode, who's a documentary filmmaker who actually approached the Rio Grande Water Conservation District in talking about wanting to highlight and document key aspects associated with the Rio Grande and water, and how that also works in the collaboration between our communities, more urban and suburban communities. And so, Christi, thank you very much for joining us. You have your first film, I believe, coming out, your first film documentary coming out with the Farm-to-Faucet. And we'd like to welcome you this morning. If you'd like to say a few words before we run the trailer on it.
Hi everyone. Thanks, Armando. I am Christi Bode Skeie, for those of you who don't know me. And when I was approached, pre-pandemic days, about doing a 30-minute documentary on Buy and Dry, I said, sure, that sounds really easy and neutral. Yeah, let's do that. Game on. So really thinking about the evolution just in the past couple of years and the development of this documentary, and thinking about all of the moving parts, as someone who grew up in suburbia, moved down to the Front Range to the San Luis Valley in 2017, and has really intimately gotten to know and understand and really work closely with the water community down here in the Rio Grande Basin, and which has expanded into working with the municipalities and interests all throughout Colorado and now into New Mexico. How to possibly take a topic such as Buy and Dry. And I keep going back to what a photo professor said to me in the days of art school is, where you're standing, do a 360 and look all around you. And that's really how I approached this film, is really wanting to come at this and not further the us versus them dialogue, but maybe how I could start to unpack some of these narratives, whether it's a municipality, a developer, a farmer, a rancher, and really with a really big, broad question: what is the value of water? And if you ask that question to 100 people, you're probably going to get 100 different answers. So I really had to resign to the fact that I wasn't going to answer any questions in this 30-minute documentary, but even propose and ask more questions, and really think of how I could bring viewers like you in this audience and those who are already genuinely curious about water into the conversation, and try and not create more conflict. So that said, I undoubtedly talk to people in places of opposition, depending on what side of the fence you're on. And I'm sure I'll look back at this film a year from now and think of ways that I might tell it differently, because really being a documentary filmmaker in this space, it's really humbling, and to be constantly learning into a story that's continuing to write itself. So what you're going to see is a short little teaser, 2 minutes, and I am working with the Colorado Film Commission on broadcast date with PBS, so details definitely more to follow, hopefully sometime this spring. And also want to give a shout out to those that funded this film: the Rio Grande Water Conservation District, Colorado Film Commission, the Water Desk, First Southwest Community Fund, and to all those I consulted with and my creative team. It really took other brains and other creative minds to think about how to unpack this story somehow in 30 minutes, which is barely scratching the surface. So I can't wait to watch this film in person and have a live audience, and to really have a conversation. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Christi. And I believe this documentary will air on Rocky Mountain PBS in the near future. Is that correct?
PBS 12.
PBS 12. Okay, thank you. PBS 12. Thank you, Christi. So please enjoy the teaser, the trailer for this documentary film. It's not going to be the whole thing right now, but we want to just build that anticipation so you'd be excited to watch it in the future.
Are we past tipping points? That is a very big question, because what I see is that humanity, especially right now, we have been very bad at living within our means. I think that question really depends on people. It doesn't really depend on how much water there is or isn't in Colorado.
Growth is going to continue in the West. So water for municipal use is much more valuable than water for agricultural use. I think that's why you're seeing a lot of buy and dry, where they're buying up farms and moving that water to the city. You can support much more humans on an acre foot of water than you can agriculture.
So there's a lot of pressure on agriculture to change and to move. There's a lot of pressure just in terms of people wanting those resources, both the land and the water, for a different purpose.
We in this community, Denver, need to understand that we've been drying up farms that produce food and fuel to sustain our life so we can plant bluegrass. Because bluegrass uses about the same amount of water as crops. If you came from outer space and saw society doing that, you'd say these people are stark raving mad.
When I thought to myself as a young person, what is the most important job that there is? Farming was the first thing I came to, because I'm like, you're growing food and you're growing products for people to use. But that conversation that I had within myself is not something that we're having on a national level. Farmers are having to rationalize why they're important.
We're all in competition. So the problems of meeting everyone's demand and of having a quality of life that continues, creating a place where people want to live and where we have agriculture, where we have strong and healthy streams, where we have thriving communities, those problems are complex and complicated.